Hi all, this is Once and Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Last time was a fun run through Gen 1 as I sought to see if I could conquer Pokemon Yellow with just a single Pidgey. Today though, I use another Gen 1 Pokemon, but in the distant future Gen wise, as I see if I can beat Pokemon White 2 with just a single Vulpix. It's not the first time I've used Vulpix, so I should know this quite well. We're a first form Pokemon with a 299 base stat total, we have good speed and special defense. Our physical stats aren't fantastic, but our special attack is okay for a first form Pokemon. We're mono fire type, so we are weak to ground, rock and water. We don't have an immunity, but we resist bug, steel, fire, grass and ice. Potentially, we can get an immunity to fire if we end up with the flash fire ability. I'd say our level up moveset is pretty decent, you know. We do get coverage with moves like Hex, we get feint attack and payback. Probably won't be able to make best use of them, but the option is there. Flamethrower and Flame Burst are pretty nice for sure too. Safeguard is always a nice move to have as well. Via TM, we do get some coverage, but most of it is physical moves. There's Dig and Return, but they're probably not going to help us too much. Hidden Power, I think, is locked behind the PWT or the Battle Subway, so that's not an option. We do get Energy Ball as a TM, but we do need Surf before we can get that though, so it is a late game option. Nothing really improves on what we get though. This challenge was kinda sorted suggested by JWJ, and well, like I said, I've done a few Vulpix runs. That's a Lowland Vulpix in Gen 7 run, might well be something that happens in the future. I'm hugely tempted, I think it'd be brutal, but it might be interesting. As always, any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to my Twitter, new Twitter or my Discord. The rules are on the screen throughout. Thanks for watching folks, and if you do enjoy what you see then like, subscribe and ring that bell. Let's do this. I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizers to replace Tepig with Vulpix, so that I can do the whole run with it. I chose to replace Tepig so that the rival would have Oshawott, which is the hardest for us to fight. As I have done on the previous two Vulpix challenges, I chose to nickname my Vulpix Mulder. Mulder has the serious nature, so neutral stat gains all around, and we also have the flash fire ability. We have a battle with Hugh shortly afterwards, and the unfortunate thing is that the only move we have that can hurt his Oshawott is Ember. It doesn't do a lot of damage individually since it resists the move. It's probably about the only move we'll make effective use for a while, since our physical attack stat isn't fantastic. We do have to weather some tackles, but a point comes where he just stops attacking and we can chip it down to get the job done and take the victory. I'm not exactly sure why he did that, but I'll take it. On the road then, and we're probably going to need to get stronger since we have a rival fight ahead and we're going to have the same issues we've just had in that first one. Not being able to damage him easily. I am trying to fight stuff that gives us special attack EV, so Sunken, Mareep and Psyduck, but they're not that common, alas. There's the normal gym after that, which is sneaky tough in this game, and a poison gym soon after that. The rival fight on the ranch actually goes a lot similar to the first one we did in Aspertia City. Lots of embers and having to tank some tackles. When it starts spamming Tail Whip, it is low-key worrying. I mean, we do crit an Ember through the course of the fight. I mean, it's exact mirror of the first fight. It drops us below the half health point, and then he just repeatedly spams Tail Whip to the point that one more tackle would likely have wiped us out, but I don't know. I'll take it. This is actually the last time we fight him until after the 5th gym now, believe it or not. I know it's weird the pacing of this story. Anyway, it's time for the normal gym, and I make a few tries at this at level 13, but it doesn't go well. I tried the first time to use Raw to switch them out and get rid of their workup buffs, but the problem is that Raw is negative priority, so we're going to get hit with an attack regardless. I make half a dozen attempts and eventually decide that maybe we need to be slightly stronger. We just don't hit hard enough and we take too much damage in exchange. I eventually get a run at level 14 that plays out like this. Sharon begins with Patrat and we start spamming Embers. 2 of them drop it onto red health, but we also lose over half of our health to a pair of tackles from the Patrat. We do have a berry though and use it to recover some health. Sharon uses a potion, but we crit Ember to take Patrat out. Lillipup is second. Ember does about a quarter. Something we discover is a low damage roll as Lilliput goes to work up and tackle to drop our health low. But we get 2 high damage rolls on Ember and we drop Lilliput to give us the win and badge number 1. Well, there's not much more to say. There's not a whole stack of game between here and the next gym, so it's not a lot of time before we are in Verbank City. And although I do some training in the complex, I'm ready to go and take on Roxy before long. Roxy begins with coughing. We start firing off embers and 2 of them put it on red health, while we do get hit with a few tackles to lower our health. But she uses a super potion after our second ember, and then coughing never gets another chance to attack as we fire 2 more embers off and get high damage rolls to drop coughing. Whirlipede is second. It does mess about with protect a bit, but our embers do massive damage, and we even burn it on the first ember, so even though there is another turn where it does try to save itself with protect, the damage is wearing it down. We do get hit with Venoshock, but ultimately it goes down to Ember. Well then, we've got travelling ahead. Once we get to Castelia City, we'll have the sewers to get through, which shouldn't be an issue. We'll have the battle with Berg, which, again, not expecting to be hugely problematic, although it is worth remembering he has a Dwebble, which may cause an issue or 2. Colrus is after that, and ostensibly, although he does use steel types, he has a sturdy Magnemite that loves to use Thunder Wave, so he may not be simple. Anyway, after puttering through the sewers for a bit and all that entails, just a side note, I really hope Legends ZA has a sewers section. Trying to think if this game is the only mainline Pokemon game with a sewer area. I mean, I know you have stuff like the Goldenrod Underground, but that's not really a sewer, so it probably doesn't count. Yeah, I think that's right, just this game, fun fact. I might be wrong, you know. So, this is something that might surprise you, but I make my way towards the Bug Gym next, and the thing is, I'm really not expecting it to be a huge challenge. It always feels like I make heavy weather of Berg. He does have some ways of messing you up, but I'm not too concerned here. We get some good shots in, we should be fine. He begins with Swadloon, and we immediately one-shot it with Flame Burst, levelling up and learning Hex in the process. Dwebble survives Flame Burst and goes for Rock Polish, so it's going to be faster, but we've dropped it into red health, and Berg uses a Hyper Potion. Flame Burst and Quick Attack take it out pretty quickly before Levani is last. We fire a Flame Burst at it, and it immediately goes down in 1 hit. 3 badges down. As I leave town, there's that fight with Colrus, and it's the same problem here as the fight with Cheron in base Black and White, in that there is a sandstorm ongoing, so we are going to be taking chip damage every turn on top of everything else. He begins with Magnemite, and we go for Quick Attack to break the sturdy before getting paralysed by Thunder Wave. We lose some health to the sandstorm and a Spark Attack, but we shoot Magnemite down with Flame Burst. Clink is next, and it starts to spam charge, which is annoying. We lose a turn to paralysis, by which time it has boosted its special defense enough that it can survive a single Flame Burst. It never attacks us directly though, and a second Flame Burst takes it out. I'm not going to bother with Vulpix trivia. I've pretty much probably said everything I really need to on this subject beforehand. I mean, there's only so many times that I can repeat the same facts. Sorry if you were wanting to hear me repeat something I said before. I mean, the first Vulpix challenge I did, there was no trivia in that one, but the Vulpix in Crystal challenge, there probably was. If I did do one of the Alolan games with Alolan Vulpix, I'd do the trivia about that Pokemon, but I think it's just stuff that's been said before otherwise. There's the Electric Gym up next, which I can't see being too bad, and then there's the Ground Gym after that. Now, he doesn't have Palpitoad in this game, but we're still potentially going to get messed up if we get hit with some super effective damage, so we need to be careful. As soon as I get Surf, I'm heading straight back to Aspertia City for the Energy Ball TM. The Electric Gym is sometimes annoying, but since my strategy is going to be the same no matter which of her 3 Pokemon we face, I'm just going to power ahead and take this on, hope for the best and take it from there. We have Safeguard now, so there's a way to mitigate potential paralysis. Eliza begins with Emolga, and we go for Safeguard straight away before being hit with Volt Switch. We land a Flamethrower on Flaffy, we crit and one-shot, which pretty fantastic. Emolga comes in, we drop it immediately onto red health with a single Flamethrower and burn it, but it Volt Switches out. Zeb Striker is faster and hits Pursuit. It would be a 2-hit with Flamethrower, but for the berry, which heals it up past the half health mark. We tank a quick attack, then drop it onto red health with flamethrower. Eliza heals it, and although we do get hit with another quick attack, we can fight through and drop it with 2 more flamethrowers before finishing Emolga off with flamethrower. I can start planning for the ground gym now anyway, as I make my way towards Driftvale City and I have to take on a few Team Plasma grunts with the rival, but I'm not considering them too much of an obstacle as I sidle on through. I mean, Team Plasma shouldn't be an issue in this run until we have to face off with Getsis. The Shadow Triad shouldn't be too bad, Zinzalin with his Cryogonal shouldn't be too rough, just thoughts. The ground gym is next and I make my way in to face off with Clay. I don't think we'll have an issue going on the offensive, they don't resist us, but I'm more worried about what's going to come back our way. He begins with Krokorok and we are intimidated, which doesn't matter as we one-shot it with Flamethrower to bring it down for the count. He goes for Excadrill next and it is part Steel type and Flamethrower wrecks it. Sandslash is last and we land Flamethrower doing massive damage and burning it. We take huge damage from Bulldoze, a worrying amount considering we dropped its attack by burning it, but we survive. Clay heals it, but 2 more flamethrowers take it down and we can move on with our 5th badge. The PWT is next and I don't focus too much on it. We have to fight Hugh, Cheron and Colrus in quick order. I don't really consider these proper battles, largely by the logic of you don't get experience for them. I'm just glad that for the first time we do this, there isn't any level scaling. It's why having TMs like Hidden Power locked behind the PWT is a problem, because after this time, if we come back in again, we get level capped, so I can't brute force everything by being over leveled with 1 Pokemon. Plus, on that note, I need to have 3 Pokemon, so it potentially defeats the purpose of solo runs. I've completed runs in this game without it, but it's more annoying than anything else, I'd say. Chargestone Cave is up next, then the Flying Gym, and I don't know how good or bad that will turn out to be. I know she has a Swanna and it could be a rough opponent to beat, but we shall see. There's a rival fight a bit after that, but we should have Energy Ball by then, so it should help deal with his starter, which will probably be his biggest obstacle. I make some tries on Skylar at level 50 and these just go so badly. I said that she has a Swanna. We're not that over leveled on it, but by the same logic we've still got an 11 level lead and we have decent special defence, but we still just keep on getting overwhelmed by Swanna's Bubble Beam, which just causes so much damage to us. I try to use Extra Sensory to flinch her, but we never get the flinch after like a dozen attempts, and after fighting off Swoobat and taking damage there, we just get overwhelmed by 2 hits of Bubble Beam. I go off to train up and eventually rock back up at level 55, but it's still rough going. We struggle badly versus Swanna, so I'm definitely not looking forward to the water gym later. But eventually, we get a run that looks like this. She begins with Swoobat and we go for a Flamethrower and one-shot it. Swanna is second and we land Extra Sensory to get her to burn the berry by doing over half her health in damage, but we lose some health to Bubble Beam. We finally get a flinch on Swanna at about the 25th attempt, but the damage puts her in healing range and she drops a Hyper Potion. We then 2-shot Swanna with Energy Ball. Last is Skarmory. I go for Extra Sensory to break the sturdy it might have, then she goes for Agility and Steel Wing in succession before we drop her with Flamethrower for the win. Phew! Travelling through Reversal Mountain, I'm thinking ahead to what we have upcoming. We'll have a rival battle, that could go either way. I've got a super effective move for his Samurott, but I'm worried about what he might do to us in return. I think the Dragon Gym might be tricky too. We don't have a fantastic way to damage him, so we shall have to see. The Water Gym could go either way. I guess we'll have to see how that goes when we get to it. The rival fight does take a few tries. The issue is Samurott, who has Aqua Jet and hurts us badly with it. We could too hit it with Energy Ball, but thanks to being out-priorited, we don't get 2 turns. However, eventually we get this run. He begins with Unpheasant and we one-shot it with Flamethrower. Samurott hits Aqua Jet, but on this run we manage to crit it with Energy Ball to give us the knockout before we can strike Simisage down with Flamethrower, and that was all it took. As I'm heading towards Lacanosa Town, I could talk about what's ongoing with the channel. I've been uploading my From Russia with Love playthrough. I seem to have hit a bit of a James Bond niche at the moment. I've been re-watching all the films since January. At the time of writing, I had 1.5 left to watch. Started doing Everything or Nothing and Nightfire 2, so I'm sure they'll put in an appearance on the channel at some point. More TCG was uploaded. I have so much of that stuff left to upload. Shame it doesn't get a lot of views, but I'm not fussed, I'm enjoying opening stuff. Chemical Rush and all that. Addicted? What? Never. At this moment in time, the next challenge I have lined up is said to be Pokemon Emerald with a single Iggly buff. But I genuinely have no idea how I'm going to set about that, so it could be an interesting experience. I may leave that one until later, I'll see. I'm up for the challenge, I just know that the opening of it is going to be absolutely horrific, and I'm not 100% sure I want that level of negativity in my life at the moment. We'll have to see. Any ideas for future challenges? Head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to Twitter or Discord. I am ready to go and challenge Drayden. I nearly said Drake for some reason when I was writing this, and I'm not sure why. We are at level 76 when we make our first tries on him, and it just goes so badly. About the best move we have for the job is Extra Sensory, since Flamethrower and Energy Ball are resisted, but we often get messed up by Druddigon. Flygon can hurt us, and by that point, Haxorus is often a bridge too far if we even get to it. Half a dozen attempts and I conclude that this isn't going to work here, and so I head off to train. This is not the funnest part of any run, I'm not going to lie. Excessive grinding. It's worse in Gen 5 for obvious reasons. I don't like to spawn in rare candies into my inventory, not at this point in the game, because I'm worried about it corrupting the save file. I think the only time I've done it in a video, keep in mind this thought may not be accurate, it's the only time I remember, was when I did the Heart Gold with Ground types playthrough. And even then, it was just to level a team up 20 levels each to face off with Red at the end, since I didn't fancy grinding at that point. I make some tries at level 81 to no avail, so I retreat again and come back at level 85. Eventually though, something gives and we get this run. Drayden begins with Druddigon and we start with using Extra Sensory, and we crit the hit to one-shot it and put us into battle with Flygon. We do about 3/4 of Flygon's health with Extra Sensory, but we don't get the flinch and we get hit with Rock Slide in exchange. A second Extra Sensory takes it out. We land an Extra Sensory on Haxorus and get it to eat the berry, but it goes for Dragon Dance. It survives a second Extra Sensory on Red health and misses Dragon Tail. Lucky, right? Drayden heals it, but that gives us the opening to land 2 Extra Sensory attacks that can take the Haxorus down and give us the 7th badge. We've got the battle with Zinzalin in the frozen Opelucid City next, but it's little more than a mini-boss battle, and given we have a fire type against his ice types, this is not too much of an issue. It's just a warm-up ahead of the battle with Marlon, which is upcoming. I think we had to train up so much for the 7th gym that perhaps the 8th gym shouldn't be an issue. And on that subject, the water gym is pretty much next in the context of the story, and he begins with Caracosta. We go for an Extra Sensory to try and get a flinch, since I know that the Caracosta has a sturdy ability. It survives but only goes for Shell Smash. Another Extra Sensory takes it down. Versus Wailord, we hit Energy Ball and we one-shot it before Jellicent is last. We do about 3/4 of its health in damage with Energy Ball. We have to tank a Scald, but another Energy Ball takes it out to give us the last badge. I'm doing travelling now. The gyms are out of the way, but there are 2 more major fights ahead before we can make it to Victory Road and the Pokemon League. There's Colrus and Getsis, neither of which will likely be easy fights, especially the latter. We should be okay versus Colrus though. I mean, we do have a negation for Thunder Wave and he is a Steel type specialist, so we'll see. Also, I did the YouTube search. Has anyone previously done White 2 with a single Vulpix? Not that I could find. I also searched for Pokemon Black 2 with a single Vulpix. Couldn't find it. Couldn't find base Black or White runs with Vulpix either. Might be a unique challenge this. Yay, I guess. Colrus then. Let's get this on. I struggled with him before, and here he begins with Magneton. We go for Safeguard to block the Thunder Wave before going for an Extra Sensory to break the Sturdy ability that I believe his Magneton has. We get hit with Volt Switch and it escapes. We strike Magnezone with a Flamethrower. It survives due to Sturdy and hits Discharge before Colrus heals. We hit an extrasensory to break the recovered sturdy, and then a flamethrower to finish that off. Metang is a one-shot knockout with flamethrower before Kling Clang is next, and we also one-shot that with flamethrower. Behem survives flamethrower and goes for Calm Mind, but we take it down with Energy Ball, and last is Magneton's return. We land the flamethrower to finish it off and give us the win. It isn't long before going into the fight with Getsis, and although we lose a first attempt, a second one plays out much better and goes something like this. He begins with Cofagrigus and we go for Safeguard to block Toxic before hitting Extrasensory and getting the flinch. The flamethrower that would end it is blocked by Protect at the first attempt, but we land the blow at the second attempt and take it out. Seismitoad is second. Oh no, whatever are we going to do? But we Energy Ball it down. Drapion is third and it survives flamethrower and hits Night Slash. Getsis heals it, we land Energy Ball for a chunk of damage before finishing it with flamethrower. Hydreigon is next, we burn it with flamethrower and it misses Dragon Rush. We keep landing flamethrowers, it hits Rock Slide for a decent amount of damage but not a fatal blow, and eventually burn damage takes it out. Electros survives flamethrower and hits Thunderbolt before we take it out with Energy Ball, before Toxicroak is last. It survives flamethrower and hits Poison Jab. Before I remember, I have a quad super effective move and we strike it down with Extrasensory for the win. Going through Victory Road, I have to think about what lies ahead. So, we can fight the Elite Four in any order, which is handy. I don't think they're going to be especially fun though, whichever order we do them in. None of them use types we're either good or bad against. I mean, there's going to be the odd thing that's weak to us, like Grimsley's Bisharp, or resists us, like Chantal's Chandelure. Grimsley does have the ground type Crocodile, but we'll Energy Ball that. I think the hardest for hitting us will be Marshall, since we're not physically defensively strong. I'm sure that he has ground and rock attacks. Hurting Caitlin's team might be fun. Not. Grimsley might be the easiest. At least Chantal can't burn us with Cofagrigus. This might have been the point where Hex may have been more useful than Extrasensory, but hey, given the level advantage we'll have, if we can't brute force it, then what's it coming to? I think the champion fight will be rough, particularly the opening battle with Hydreigon. We saw what happened versus Getsis's Hydreigon, and how we can struggle to damage it. There's also stuff like Lapras and Archeops I think may be trouble. There is a rival fight before we get to the Pokemon League. It takes a few efforts to come out on top due to a combination of being hurt by Bouffalant and finished off by Samurott. But eventually we get a run that looks like this. He starts with Unpheasant and we can one-shot it with Flamethrower. On this run we manage to burn Bouffalant with Flamethrower, and as a result it doesn't hurt us as much with Earthquake. Hugh does drop a max potion, but a combo of Extrasensory, burn damage and Flamethrower take it out. We land Energy Ball on Samurott and don't knock it out, but we survive Surf on 4 HP and can take it out with another Energy Ball. Simisage at least is a one-shot with Flamethrower and we can move on. Standing at the Pokemon League, here are our stats at level 95. I feel more confident if our special attack was better. I'd feel better with more physical defence because I think that's going to cost us somewhere. But speed and special defence are decent at least, so there is that. When I say I wish our special attack was better, I mean I wish it was drastically better than our physical attack, since we're not using that. Take your guesses on if we can do it at this level or not. Right now folks, let's do this! I pick Dark Trainer Grimsley to fight first, since I figure he may be the easiest. He begins with Liepard and immediately it goes for Fake Out, though in the next turn we outspeed and one-shot with Flamethrower. Crocodile is second and we one-shot with Energy Ball to take it out. Scrafty is third, we land a Flamethrower but it survives it. We do get a burn on it, but then we get clattered with a crit Rock Tomb. Grimsley heals it, but a combo of Energy Ball and Flamethrower take it down to put us into the fight with Bisharp. A single Flamethrower one-shots it. Psychic Trainer Caitlin is next after a few aborted attempts on Chantal. She begins with Mashana and we go for Safeguard to block the Yawn. Mashana survives Flamethrower and puts Reflect up, but another Flamethrower takes it out. Reuniclus survives Flamethrower and hits Psychic, but we take it down with Energy Ball. Gothitelle survives Flamethrower and hits Psychic, pattern developing here, but another Flamethrower takes it out. Last is Sigilif, and although it survives Flamethrower and get this, hits Psychic, we did burn it and the burn damage takes it out. Still had a few aborted attempts on Shauna, so after failing at that, we went to take on Fighting Trainer Marshall. I'm really all about putting that Ghost Trainer on hold for the moment. Anyway, he begins with Throw. We strike an extra sensory for decent damage, but don't get the knockout or the flinch and get clattered with Rock Tomb before taking it out with another extra sensory. Conkeldurr is second, it survives extra sensory and eats the berry, all while going for Bulk Up to take it out of healing range. We strike another extra sensory to take it out. Sork survives extra sensory and misses Rock Slide. Thankfully, Marshall heals, but we strike 2 more extra sensories to take it out. Mienshao then is a one-shot with extra sensory to give us a win. I feel like I said extra sensory too many times in that last 30 seconds. I make some more efforts on Chantal, but it doesn't go well. We struggle to one-shot Golurk, even with Energy Ball, and we get messed up and usually one-shot by Earthquake. Even if we do beat Golurk, Drifblim is too much to deal with straight after. It reaches the point I need to use some rare candies to boost our level up to 98, and then this happens. She begins with Cathagrigus and it's never really an issue. We strike a Flamethrower, burn it and get hit with Shadow Ball, but the burn damage takes it down to put us into the fight with Golurk. We can now one-shot it with Energy Ball thanks to the extra levels. Drifblim survives Flamethrower on red health and hits Acrobatics before Chantal heals it. We crit an extra sensory to put it back on red health and then take it down with another extra sensory. Chandelure is last. We trade extra sensory attacks and Shadow Balls since she won't go for Fire Blast or whatever fire move she has. I think her Chandelure has Flash Fire as an ability as well, so we can't use our fire move either, but after trading blows we managed to drop it for a win. Iris though is a whole new level of problematic. Let's go through what the issues are. She always begins with Hydreigon, who knows Surf, and although we can free hit Hydreigon with Flamethrower, getting hit with 2 Surf attacks just isn't pleasant and it really eats into our HP. We can at least one-shot Aggron out second with Flamethrower, but third is Haxorus. Now here's the issue. It knows Earthquake, and if we've been messed up by Hydreigon, we're not surviving it. If we're in survival range for Earthquake, it will go for Dragon Dance, and if it does do that, we're not outspeeding it. I use extra sensory a bunch of times, hoping for a flinch on every attempt, but we never even get a single one, which, bit of an issue. I even boost our level up to 100 to try and eke a few extra points of damage or speed out, but no avail. I even try some runs with Return using the move on Hydreigon to see if I can knock it out faster than with Flamethrower, but not really. It's sometimes a 2 hit with a good damage roll, but not always. There is one run where I knock Haxorus out after surviving a first turn Earthquake, but Lapras is second and immediately finishes us off with Surf after surviving Energy Ball. Part of me wonders if this is doable. Right, here's the situation, let's look at what we've got to deal with. I can't get stronger, level or stat wise, we're at max for that. I can't get any super effective moves on Dragon types. Nor can I get any moves that buff our stats in battle. I can't get Double Team, again it's locked behind the PWT. So I have to get really creative with a solution. And of course I don't have the TM that I figure out I need, so I have to go out, get it, and then fight back through the Elite Four to get the champion fight again. What is this mysterious TM, you ask? Well, I figure there is one way to make our fire moves hurt more and water moves hurt less. I went back and got the Sunny Day TM and came back to challenge Iris. I figure I'll still require a heck of a lot of luck. We go for Sunny Day versus Hydreigon, and the Surf does noticeably less damage, less than 40 points of health. We do get hit with a Dragon Pulse, but we can now 2-shot Hydreigon with Flamethrower. Aggron is a one-shot with Flamethrower, as per always. I go for extra sensory on Haxorus and we crit it, but it survives thanks to the Focus Sash and goes for Dragon Dance. She heals on the next turn. We crit another extra sensory and drop it in one shot. Well, I did say I'd need some luck. Lapras is 4th, and we put the sun back up with Sunny Day and tank Surf. We strike Flamethrower for massive damage and burn it before tanking another Surf. I'm expecting a heal that never comes and another Flamethrower takes her out. Druddigon is 4th, we strike a Flamethrower and get another burn that lets us shrug off Dragon Tail before we finish that with Flamethrower. Archeops is last, the sun has vanished, so I go for Extra Sensory, hoping it's enough to activate Defeatist. We do well over half its health, and we can just about shrug off the Rock Slide that would probably have ended us had Defeatist not activated before taking it down with another Extra Sensory. So that just goes to prove that with the right set of fluke circumstances, sometimes victory is entirely possible from an impossible situation. We can draw a line under the run and we can move on right towards the next challenge after sliding into the Hall of Fame. Thank you very much for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed. That was a lot of effort. I genuinely don't know how I used to do one of these a week. Get it recorded, get it audio recorded, get it edited. I don't know if I was more motivated then, or I don't know if I just had more time on my hands. It's a mystery. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, call out with a comment, and smash that subscribe button. It's good for the YouTube algorithm, it helps the channel grow, and I'm all about that. Join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge as I see if I can beat Pokemon Emerald with just a single Igglybuff. I can already tell that this is going to be horrific, but we'll see if we can make it through. Be sure to join me and see how that one goes. Probably not long before I'm going to jump off here, folks. I've just finished writing this the day after my birthday, so there's still stuff to do. I have an Instagram now if you're interested. Should start putting the link in the description, I guess. Have a great day, folks. So I'll catch you when I see you. Take care. Bye bye.